At Churchill, Manitoba, you're a little bit south of Winnipeg. One of the proudest members of that community is, of course, Burton Cummings. He makes his return to the show, and he's got a book of poetry. Here's his bio.
Before 1965, there had never been a Canadian band quite like the Guess Who. When everyone was doing the whole folky thing, the Guess Who, led by Burton Cummings, brought the rock. American Woman, Mama, let me speak. American Woman was the first Canadian song to hit #1 on Billboard and was the biggest selling single of 1970. Not bad for a kid from Winnipeg who had studied piano. He started his first band at 14. You know, he fronted the Guess Who for 10 years, but when it ended, well, Burton's career didn't end. He went solo. Over the next 15 years, released 7 albums, won a bunch of Junos, and his influence on culture never went away. Austin Powers soundtrack had the big hit Lenny Kravitz. That was American Woman. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, playing rock critic Lester Bangs, wore a Guess Who t-shirt in Almost Famous. But the allure of the big band, well, it proved to be too strong. In 2006, Burton reunited with his Guess Who pal Randy Bachman, and they released the Bachman-Cummings songbook, followed it up with a sold-out tour. Since then, he's released a solo record called Above the Ground, was named with the Order of Canada, and keeps a lively blog on his website. Check it out. It's not your average rock star stuff. Now, Burton is busy writing. But what is he writing, you ask? Well, you might be surprised.
I'd like to welcome back to the program, my friend, Burton Cummings. Good to see you, man. Nice to see you. Hello, Burton.
I'll just put this over here for now, George.
That's the Order of Canada?
Yes. I don't go anywhere without it.
That's amazing.
Isn't that nice?
You're presenting it to me. That's really kind of you. You're a thoughtful, interesting, emotional man, so it's not lost on you. This is a big deal.
Well, this is the highest honor that the country bestows on a civilian. And besides the honor, it's a very pretty medal.
Yeah.
And another thing, because I got this at the time I did, I was able to hang out with Mario Lemieux all day.
That's not
bad. It was very nice. And Ivan Reitman. There were some very, very special people there.
Well, and as big a deal as the Order of Canada is, the thing that I thought was really cool and must be really interesting to you is you now have your high school diploma.
Yes, this has been a big year for me for awards.
Did you go back to school? Did you have to get a backpack and a locker and all that?
No, I went back, and they they treated me very, very kindly, and I was given my high school diploma. The irony is that I already had 4 music doctorates from 4 separate universities. So I'm one of the few people that had 4 university doctorates before he got his high school diploma.
That's incredible. For a lot of guys, and you know, there's a whole generation out there who may not have had the mainstream or the public success that you have had, but not having a high school diploma, while that is in no way, shape, or form a comment on anybody's personality or character, to a lot of guys who don't have it and women, it means a lot.
Absolutely.
Did it mean a lot to you to have
it? It meant a lot to me. When I left high school, my future was pretty dim. I had no idea where things were going to go.
You left at like 16, right?
I was 17, and here's the thing. I made the right decision because the Guess Who, at that time, they had a big record called Shakin' All Over. Chad Allen was the lead singer. It was his band, basically. They knew he was going back to university to have something to fall back on, as they say. And they needed another lead singer, but they never would have asked me to leave school to join the band. The minute they heard I left school, within about 2 weeks, I got that magic phone call. So I did make the right choice. But it was just luck.
You're doing something interesting now. I mean, the last time you were on our show, you told this amazing story about how you first went to L.A. and you met Jim Morrison.
Very first night,
and you got to party with him. Mm-hmm. Jim Morrison, for a lot of kids, when they first discovered his books of poetry, you've written a book of poetry.
Yes, I have finally completed I've made the choices. I had about 90 pieces. I've made the choices. I've pared it down to 47. And
why 47?
Because I was born in 1947, okay. And so I've got all the pieces done. And actually, your staff has been kind enough to allow me, perhaps, to read one of these.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
I'll be 63 next month, folks, so I carry these with me now a lot.
Do we need to dim the lights and put a candle on, or what's this about? Or?
No, we don't really. It's these are. Here's the deal. I really have always loved the cadence of the English language. I've always loved poetry, and I think the English language is one of the most difficult languages to learn if it's not your main language. It has so many idiosyncrasies. It has so many twists and turns. So I go online and I read the great poems by Kipling and by Keats and Edgar Allan Poe and some of the wonderful, wonderful work that's there. And with the internet now, it's a click away. So I started writing this. I started concentrating really hard on this about 2 or 3 years ago. Anyway, it's ready to go. We're going to call it the Writings of B.L. Cummings. It sounds so literary, doesn't it? And I would like to read this. This is about the impending doom if we don't smarten up as the human race, and it's called The Coming of the Nell. O ancient queen, I court your wares, and bid thee visit, stay, so none of darker side prevail, and shroud my vested way. I follow now of what you speak, and seek the words to tell, so all may hear and all may know the coming of the knell. For some, a sound of higher beam, and drawn within the light, the seekers of the proper path will all survive the night. Though torrid plains besiege the day, a changing wind blows nigh, and often nobler thoughts prevail, the seeking of the why. Though answers may not run to fair, the questions still remain, and therein lies the honor spent on all of fair domain. In darker corners heap the ways of those who will not learn. The back of hope be broken there, the legend left to burn. A reaching hand just once denied will hasten false retreat. The stately palace once inside gives up not love or heat. A bitter wind, a bitter word, a bitter glass of wine. A bitter seed and never sowed, a stab at sweet refine. O ancient queen, I fail too fast, your presence drains me so. I carry on with no regret, the pace be ever slow. O ancient queen, I bring my best, and only ask your aid, in speaking well for many tongues, so none remain afraid. To dress the words, to paint the snow, is just a trick for hell. I only pray that some will heed the coming of the knell.
Nicely done.
Burton Cummings, everybody.
Nice. It's a thing to put it's one thing to put your lyrics to music.
That's a whole different thing.
An exposure, because you know that when musicians write books of poetry, they're held to a different standard.
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to be compared to Rudyard Kipling and Keats and some of the wonderful. But I've reread these and reread these and reread these, and I actually showed them to 2 or 3 publishers, and they all told me it was senseless drivel, which makes me even more convinced that I'm on the right path. Because I know it's not drivel, but these are bean counters trying to figure out how they can market this, and everyone's terrified to take a chance because I'm known as a musician.
Does that piss you off because you're like, I'm Burton Cummings, I wrote some big hits, publish this book?
No, it disappointed me. It didn't piss me off. It disappointed me to the extent where I became more adamant than ever to pursue this. And there are a lot of things in there. It deals with death, reincarnation, friendship, assisted suicide. It's all kinds of subject matter. And I figure, I've read some of the great people enough. I'm learning how to ingest the cadence, the beautiful cadence of the English language, and that's what I'm exploring here.
Excellent. All right, stick around. We're going to get Burton's thoughts on Justin Bieber and maybe even American Idol. Anthropology with Burton Cummings right after this.